Buffett yardstick is at its highest level in history today. And people have said, well, that's okay because profit margins are so high. Okay, well, if profit margins aren't going to be as high as they've been in the past, then those types of valuation metrics, the warning message from those becomes that much more poignant.
In terms of the warning message, so everybody's familiar with the Buffett yardstick, or oftentimes called the Buffett indicator. Um, but when Buffett sort of introduced that to the world, he did so with a warning, right, about the increase in profit margins, saying that it isn't sustainable in the long run.
Yeah, he was introduced to this piece. He wrote a piece for Fortune magazine back in 1999. Actually, two pieces, one in 99, one in 2001. And he discussed how he looks at valuations, and that was when he introduced the Buffett yardstick, total market cap of the U.S. stock market relative to gross national product. And at the time in 2000, it was very elevated. It's much more elevated today than it was back then. But one of the points that he made, I think it gets lost during that piece, was the point that uh, profit margins were elevated at the time, and they weren't nearly as elevated as they are today. We've seen record profit margins today. And he pointed out that those profit margins come at the expense of labor share. So he suggested that that cannot be sustained for very long without causing what he called political problems. Right? Labor share is not going to accept a smaller and smaller and smaller piece of the pie for very long before we start seeing political problems. And I think in the wake of the financial crisis, things like Occupy Wall Street were the first signs of those types of political problems creeping up, 15 years ago. And since then, I think it's become clearer that this has been one of the costs of globalization, is an ever shrinking labor share, ever growing profit margin share to corporates. And that has costs in terms of wealth and income inequality and things that we've seen that have become very well discussed and written about extensively. But it helps to explain kind of why the trend, I think, today towards deglobalization has become more of kind of a bipartisan consensus in Congress and among the American people, that maybe we took globalization too far. Maybe profits did have, or corporate profits have gone too far at the expense of labor, and it's time for some give back in the other direction.
Get back on that.